Somewhere between 2020 and 2021, I went through a period of extended, self-inflicted loneliness. This was during one of the worst mental health periods of my life, in which I basically decided to live as a shell of a person, do the bare minimum of what's expected of me, speak only when spoken to, and otherwise avoid being perceived. When I finally broke out and decided I was ready to actually enjoy my life again, I realized I'd kind of forgotten how to talk to people. Not only that, but everyone was gone. The storytime animation community, being the inevitable recipe for burnout that it is, had all but fizzled out, leaving only the channels big enough to afford a team. And honestly, ever since then, YouTube has just felt lonely. I feel like I'm stuck on a platform. Above me is everyone I couldn't keep up with, below me is everyone who considers me out of reach. Since waking up from my social interaction hiatus, I've found it hard to rebuild connections with people who don't just want to be friends because YouTuber. But recently I've realized that's not the issue. It's okay actually to want to be friends with a YouTuber, because everyone you want to be friends with has something about them that makes them cool, something you admire about them that makes you want to be their friend. But what I realized is, what I'm actually bothered by is being treated differently to everyone else because of it. It's kind of hard to form deep connections with people who speak to you so carefully and are so afraid of criticizing you. I find myself kind of longing to just be a regular internet guy again, to be able to join random Discord servers and have people gradually get to know me, rather than these weird expectations and assumptions made after finding out about my channel. I don't really hear anyone with some kind of internet presence talking about this, and I wonder if everyone just feels like they don't have the right to complain. Or maybe I'm just a bit of a weirdo and everyone else has no issues at all making genuine connections with other people. Here's something I'm kind of curious if anyone relates to. My hobbies and interests are lonely. I'm not joining online lobbies, teaming up with a regular group of friends to improve our skills and strategies to beat a game. I'm sitting in my room playing single-player RPGs on a 10-year-old console. I'm watching people have the time of their lives on Fortnite and, I don't know, it says Valtorant in my script. I don't know, Valtorant? Do people still play that one? And sitting here like, man, I really wish I was into those kinds of games. Anyway, time to get back to my 5th playthrough of Professor Layton and the Curious Village 2008 for the Nintendo DS. I clock out from a long shift at drawing on my own while watching YouTube videos in the background for 6 hours, grab my iPad, and proceed with my after-work hobby of drawing on my own while watching YouTube videos. Maybe I'll listen to music instead if I'm feeling spicy. Speaking of music, throughout history, music has been an integral way for people to connect with each other. Literal clothing styles and personalities have been born from people connecting through a specific genre, or even just specific bands or artists. Guess who has an annoyingly niche music taste that makes it difficult to participate in general discussions about music? Boy, having good music taste sure is lonely. Just kidding, of course. Music is subjective. Popular music is popular because lots of people like it, and that's okay. I happen to not like it most of the time, but I kinda wish I did because honestly, it seems like so much fun to go to your friend like, did you hear the new Taylor Swift album yet? Yeah, absolute masterpiece. My favorite part was when Taylor was Swift. Dude, yeah, brings me to tears every time. Or like, imagine connecting with people because you all like an entire genre, and not just a specific set of tracks within that genre that happen to fit into your obnoxiously niche expectations for a song. I'm unironically jealous. Imagine having a common interest with a significant number of people, a style of clothing, sometimes even an entire personality, based entirely on a type of music you like. I know individuality is really cool and whatever, but as someone who is constantly bouncing between interests and methods of personal expression, the concept of just having a set way to dress and act sounds kinda nice. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just meant to be lonely. I like to think that my single-player hobbies are just a coincidence. It's not like I'm actively avoiding activities that include people because they include people, at least not consciously. But maybe a part of my brain does specifically seek out interests that involve as few people as possible. Maybe that's a secret symptom of having social anxiety, being a nerd. I wish, though, that that part of me would at least be satisfied with being alone. But no, I hate being lonely. It's a constant thing weighing on my mind that makes me sad. It's like a have your cake and eat it too kind of situation. Why do you desperately want companionship, yet also desperately want to spend multiple days in your room playing Nintendo DS in the dark? What do you want? It's like an extra layer of difficulty in the game of life. Companionship is a really important part of the human experience. Here, your brain works differently than the majority of people around you, causing you to feel isolated and often self-sabotage your own relationships. On the other hand, you can also connect with people because of those common things you're going through, and arguably form even deeper connections with them because you're both experiencing the world in a similar, difficult way. Being able to relate to someone on something extremely specific and weird is honestly a really powerful experience. So you just spent an extended period of time actively avoiding people. You want to make connections again, but it feels like there's so many different factors working against you. Talking to people feels like a game that you have to relearn how to play. The controller kinda looks familiar, but you keep pressing B instead of A because you're used to the Nintendo layout, but you lost your favorite Nintendo controller, so you have to relearn with the sorta similar yet somehow different controller that everyone says is way better anyway, and you kinda get it, but you can't stop thinking about your old controller that you were so comfortable with. Sorry, I got a bit off topic there. I'm not gonna lie, I think being nice to yourself is a really important part of overcoming loneliness. Like, remembering that it's okay actually to not hang out with a million people 24/7. Wanting to be alone sometimes is fine. And if you need to relearn how to talk to people or whatever, it's okay if it takes you a while to figure out how to do that. Personally, I'm tired of being embarrassed that I have to study how to do things that come naturally to most other people, when that's just how the course of my life went to lead me up to this point. Something to keep in mind is, a lot of people feel lonely right now. And that might sound a bit depressing, but paradoxically, it means you're not alone. As in, it's not just you. It's not your fault, man. The truth is, it does take effort on your end to overcome loneliness. But you gotta be patient with yourself. Some of us struggle to express how we feel about people in the ways that people usually do, but we just have to find other ways to do it. I think it can just be as simple as letting people know, hey, I kinda struggle to find the energy to reach out to people, but I really enjoy talking to you, so please reach out if you ever want to chat. And no matter how weird it feels to observe how people interact, as if I'm a little alien studying the human species, that's just how it is, and it works, so I'm gonna keep doing it. For some reason, as a teenager, I spent a lot of time teaching myself to center other people in every conversation I had. I guess I thought it would make people like me if I constantly asked them about themselves and never talk about me unless asked. And yeah, it's true that most people like being asked about themselves. It makes them feel like you care about their life and them as a person. But while expecting that if people were interested in me, they would do the same thing, my self-confidence was quickly destroyed by the fact that no one ever asked me anything. Since then, though, I've realized if people don't ask you things about yourself, it's not that they don't care. It's that the average person isn't walking around with 50 interview-style questions in their head at all times. By observing how other people talk to each other, I noticed that people usually talk about themselves because something reminded them of it, rather than because they were asked about it. And it's not considered weird or annoying. That's just how conversation works. And yeah, talking about yourself is an important part of making connections with people. How else are they supposed to know that you're both really big fans of that one game, or that you're also a bit of a weirdo, just like them? Obviously, where there's undersharing, there's oversharing, and you gotta find that balance. I'm honestly just a bit frustrated with my past self for building my whole personality around such a huge misunderstanding of how conversation works, and how I've probably missed out on so many connections with people I've met because I gave them no reason to remember me. And if I can just help one person watching realize that actually everyone doesn't hate you, at least I can turn my experience into something good. I don't have a solid solution for loneliness. It's something I'm still working on. And I'm kinda hoping I can make a follow-up to this in the future, like top 10 ways to never be lonely. I fix loneliness with this one weird trick. If I ever start writing titles like that, please just delete my entire channel. But for now, I'm just trying to find more ways to express myself and find people who share common interests. And trying to say things quicker than that voice in my head can say nobody cares. Of course, I had to go ahead and move to a different country where I had to learn an entirely new language. The added difficulty of having to figure out how to say what I want to say is very cool and nice. But no matter how bad I know my grammar is, I'm never gonna get to a point where talking in my second language feels natural if I never talk in my second language. Us lonely people, we gotta stick together. If you have any of your own tips and methods for overcoming loneliness, please let me know. I'm particularly interested in if anyone has any experience with finding people who share the same music taste as you. Like, I've been to concerts for my favorite artists and bands and stuff, but it just feels like people are usually there to listen to music and hang out with their existing friends. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, let's share our experiences and tips with each other. At the very least, you'll help someone feel less alone in what they're going through. Like, wait, you're a weird little alien too? I thought I was the only one. A beep boop, beep boop. Oh, so true, so true.